Dear friends, the topics for this session are Introduction to Geotechnical Engineering and Scope of Geotechnical Engineering. The word geotechnical engineering has something to do with the properties and behavior of soil and how it is affecting the safety and stability of various civil engineering structures. We'll try to understand some basic aspects of the word geotechnical engineering. We'll also discuss about the scope of geotechnical engineering. It means the knowledge of soil mechanics or the soil related aspects, how that can be applied to solve some of the civil engineering structural related problems that we'll try to understand. We are quite aware that the civil engineering structures are constructed on the soils or below the soils और with the soils as construction material. चाहे वो एक छोटा सा बंगलो हो या फिर बहुत ही बड़ा टॉल स्ट्रक्चर हो, सारे सिविल इंजीनियरिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स को फाइनली सॉइल के ऊपर ही बनाया जाता है. या तो फिर स्ट्रक्चर्स जैसे कि टनल हो तो उसे सॉइल के नीचे बनाया जाता है. ऑफ कोर्स दे आर ऑल्सो रेस्टिंग ऑन द सॉइल फाइनली. एंड सम ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चर्स जैसे कि अर्दन डैम है, उसमें सॉइल को एक कंस्ट्रक्शन मटेरियल की तरह यूज किया जाता है. सो इन ऑल दीज स्ट्रक्चर्स soil is playing a major role, and definitely we have to understand the soil for establishing the safety and stability of the civil engineering structures. We'll try to understand these three terms. First, the word soil itself. Of course, this word soil has been derived from a Latin word known as solium, the meaning of which is that layer of soil in which the plants can grow. The second word is soil mechanics. It's of course a science. And the third word is soil engineering or geotechnical engineering. It is the applied science. The science being applied to solve some of the civil engineering related problems where the soils are involved. Let us try to understand the definition of soil. The term soil, according to engineering point of view, is defined as the material by means of which and upon which the engineers build their structures. यानी सॉइल के ऊपर या तो सॉइल की मदद से जो स्ट्रक्चर्स हम बनाते हैं, ऐसा एक मटेरियल है. And the term soil includes the entire thickness of the earth's crust from the ground level to the bedrock, which is accessible and which is also feasible for practical utilization to be used as the foundation support or to be used as the construction material. And this particular layer of soil is composed of loosely bound mineral particles. These particles are of various sizes and various shapes, which are formed due to the weathering of rocks. I'll just explain through this sketch what exactly is the say layer of soil and what can be the possibilities, say with the soil as a layer. Say this is the ground level that is shown here, and this is the rock layer here, and from the ground level to the rock layer, this particular layer is known as soil. The thickness of this layer can vary from place to place. It may have a thickness of say about 1 or 2 meters, or it can have the thickness as large as or as deep as few hundred kilometers. Or we can also say that the soil layer can be totally absent. It means that this layer of rock can rise to the ground level, appear on the surface, appear as an outcrop, This particular, say, the rock layer which is appearing on the surface, that is known as outcrop. It's a geological term. But at most of the places, the soil layer is present, and mostly we are placing our foundations in the soil. Let us try to understand the other term, that is definition of soil mechanics. It is a discipline of civil engineering involving the study of properties of soil, behavior of soil, particularly the soil which is subjected to various forces, because soil is loaded by the buildings that we are constructed, and also the application of soil as an engineering material. So there are three things. We try to understand properties of soil. We also try to understand the behavior of soil when it is subjected to loads. And the third area is soil as an engineering material. But soil mechanics is actually defined very nicely by Carl Terzaghi. Carl Terzaghi, of course, is regarded as the father of soil mechanics, a scientist who has contributed a lot to the field of geotechnical engineering. According to Terzaghi, soil mechanics is the science of laws of mechanics and hydraulics, or we can say the principles of solid mechanics and principles of hydraulics or fluid mechanics for the solution of many engineering problems, the problems which are dealing with sediments and other unconsolidated accumulations of the solid particles. Of course, these solid particles are produced by the mechanical disintegration or chemical decomposition of rocks, regardless of the fact that whether they are having any admixture or any other organic constituents. But whenever, say, we have a sample of soil with us which are, say, unconsolidated accumulations, the soils are having actually wide spaces in between the particles, and these wide spaces can be filled with air or it can be filled with water. It means that the soil cannot be treated as a pure solid, just like a rock, and it also cannot be treated as fluid, like water. But the behavior of soil is somewhere in between, a kind of intermittent behavior between the solid and the fluid. And that is why here in soil mechanics we say that it is having the combination of the principles of solid mechanics and the principles of the fluid mechanics, which are together collectively used for solution of some of the engineering problems where we are dealing with the sediments. And the third term is the definition of geotechnical engineering, which is also known as geotechnics. It is the branch of civil engineering concerned with the engineering behavior of earth materials. Earth materials में mainly दो हैं, soil and rock. It uses the principles and methods of soil mechanics and rock mechanics for the solution of engineering problems and also the design of engineering works which are involving soils and rocks. हम बड़े ही सिंपल शब्दों में ये कह सकते हैं कि सॉइल मैकेनिक्स जो साइंस है उसको अगर अप्लाई करते हैं फॉर द सॉल्यूशन ऑफ सम ऑफ द इंजीनियरिंग प्रॉब्लम्स which are dealing with sediments or soil particles, then that field is known as geotechnical engineering. And for application, we rely on the knowledge of geology, hydrology, geophysics, and other related sciences. So we draw certain, say, theories, certain aspects from all these subject areas also. Before we go for the discussion of the scope of geotechnical engineering, let us try to understand few important things about the soil. Soil is a highly heterogeneous and unpredictable material. This is a very important statement. It is highly heterogeneous. जैसे मैंने कहा कि soil में अलग अलग तरह के particles हो सकते हैं which are formed by different sources of minerals. अलग अलग shapes हो सकते हैं. of course the soil particles are formed by the weathering of rocks, and the rocks can be having different minerals. So even the soil particles can be having their origin from different minerals. So these particles are of different origins, and so we can say that it is heterogeneous material, having different sizes, different shapes, different origins, different sources. So it is a heterogeneous material. Why it is unpredictable? Because the same soil sample can behave differently at different times. Say during rainy season, its behavior can be different. During summer, its behavior can be different. With the changes in the water content, the behavior can be different. The strength can be different. And when exactly this will happen, or when in future the behavior will change, it's very difficult to predict. And so I always say that it's very difficult to work with soil. Second very important aspect is the relative proportions of the constituents of soil. There are three constituents: soil grains, water, and the air. The proportions of these constituents is actually governing the properties and behavior of soil. Soil grains may be, there are of course different particle sizes. There are mainly 4 particle sizes: gravels, sands, silts, and clays, which we are going to discuss in detail in a separate presentation. There is also water, which can be there in the voids, or air, which can be there in the voids. And what is going to be the proportion of this? Soil grains के कितने परसेंटेज हैं, वाटर का कितना परसेंटेज है, और एयर का कितना है. ऐसा भी हो सकता है water is totally absent, so it is fully dry soil, or just the extreme other end, there is only water there, so it is fully saturated soil and there is no air at all. So in all these physical states, different physical states, the properties and behavior of the soil are going to be different. So that way again it is adding to the complex behavior of soil. The properties of soil, the third aspect, the properties of the soil change not only from one place to other place, but also at the same place with the depth. मान लो आप एक कोई जगह पे आप खड़े हैं, वहाँ पे जो सरफेस पे सॉइल्स हैं उसकी कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज़ हैं, but as you go deeper from the same point, so you go to the depth of say 2 meters, or you go to a depth of 6 meters at the same point, it is quite possible that the soil strata will change, and also the properties and behavior of the soil in different soil strata would be different. This is a very important point. And of course, soils, its properties and its behavior of course is changing from one place to the other place. जैसी soil अहमदाबाद में है, वैसी ही soil शायद भावनगर में ना हो, वैसी ही soil शायद राजकोट में ना हो, जैसी soil गुजरात में है, वैसी ही soil शायद मध्य प्रदेश में ना हो. And soils are definitely changing from place to place. And so it is very important to study the soil which is present at a very specific site. The other important points related to soil, the properties of soil also change with a change in environmental conditions, with a change in loading conditions, and also with a change in drainage conditions. Of course, मैंने जैसे बताया कि रेनी सीजन में सॉइल की बिहेवियर अलग हो सकती है. सिमिलरली समर में the same soil sample can behave differently, but there can be change along with the change in loading also. Suppose आपने कोई साइट पे सॉइल के ऊपर 4 मंजिला मकान बनाया है. If you have constructed a 4-storied building on a site, the soil is loaded accordingly, and of course it undergoes some compaction, consolidation. And if you now add 2 more floors, that will transfer of course more load to the foundations and then to the soils. and soil again will undergo more consolidation, and the properties and behavior can change. Even with the drainage conditions, the behavior can change, whether the soil is highly permeable or it is almost impermeable, or it can be somewhere in between. So sands of course are considered as freely draining soils, whereas the clays are sometimes almost impermeable, and so properties will change. The next point is the properties of soil depend not only on its type but also on the conditions under which it exists. Yes, there are different types of soils. We are going to learn, say, as per Indian Standard Soil Classification System, there are about 18 groups of soils. So we can say there are 18 different types of soils. So if the type of soil changes, definitely the properties and behavior would change to some extent. But it will also change on the conditions under which it exists. यानी किस कंडीशन में वो सॉइल एग्जिस्ट करती है उस पर भी आधार है. Whether it is fully consolidated or it is still undergoing the consolidation, whether it is fully drained or still the drainage is going on, and the conditions are bringing the soil in which physical state, that will decide the properties and behavior. Whether it remains in plastic state or it remains in semi-solid state, this is on the basis of the plasticity of the soil. Of course, that part is to be discussed later on, but it will definitely decide the properties and behavior. This makes the task very complex to understand the soils. See, as far as the applications are concerned, let us try to understand why at all it is necessary to study the soil, its properties, its behavior. What is known as the soil investigations, the study of soil behavior. कई बार ऐसी बातें होती है, इंजीनियर से भी ऐसी बातें होती है, जो कि मैं आपको शुरू में यहाँ पे बताना चाहूँगा कि there are some structures where the builders performed no soil investigations at all. Say, take for example case 1. No soil investigations were done, but structures are still safe. और ये बहुत कॉमन आर्ग्यूमेंट्स बहुत से इंजीनियर्स की होती है कि सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुए ही नहीं थे, एक बैरिंग कैपेसिटी वैल्यू अज्यूम कर दी गई थी, उस पर से पूरी बिल्डिंग डिज़ाइन बना ली और फिर भी स्ट्रक्चर्स तो बहुत सेफ हैं, तो फिर ज़रूरत क्या है इन्वेस्टिगेशन की. माई आंसर वुड बी दैट हियर ऑफ कोर्स द स्ट्रक्चर इज़ वेरी लकी दैट देयर वाज नॉट अ kind of a problematic soil present below the foundation, and so the structures are safe. It was of course a mistake that no investigations were performed. Any structure to be constructed must be having the details of the soil on which the structure is to be constructed. The study of soil is a must. Second category of structures, soil investigations were done, but then also the structures are showing the signs of failures. ये आर्ग्यूमेंट भी कई बार मैंने इंजीनियर्स फ्रेंड्स से सुनी है कि यहाँ पे सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ था, फिर भी स्ट्रक्चर्स में कुछ डिस्ट्रेसेस हैं, कुछ क्रैक्स डेवलप हो गई हैं, तो क्या फ़ायदा हुआ. हियर वी मस्ट एक्सेप्ट वन थिंग दैट द सॉइल मैकेनिक्स इज़ एन अप्रॉक्सीमेट साइंस. उसमें काफ़ी हद तक जो कंक्लूजन्स हैं, दे आर डिपेंडिंग अ लॉट ऑन द जजमेंट ऑफ द जियोटेक्निकल इंजीनियरिंग एंड द एक्यूरेसी ऑफ द एनालिसिस. जो भी एजम्पशंस हैं, उस एजम्पशन को कैसे डील किया गया है, और जो इंजीनियर एनालिसिस करता है उसका एक्सपीरियंस क्या है, उसका जजमेंट क्या है, और किस तरह से उसने पूरा फाइनल रिकमेंडेशन दिया है, उस पर काफ़ी डिपेंड करता है. So it is quite possible that soil investigations can be done, but even after that the structure cannot be made fully safe. But the third category where I would like to focus is very important. The soil investigations were done and the structures are still standing safe. This is the third category where we should always target and we should aim कि सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशंस अच्छी तरह से किए गए, उसका अच्छा एनालिसिस हुआ, सारे जो लेबोरेटरी टेस्ट रिजल्ट्स थे, फील्ड टेस्ट रिजल्ट्स थे, उसे अच्छी तरह से समझा गया, सॉइल की बिहेवियर को अच्छी तरह से एस्टैब्लिश किया गया, लोड कैरिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द सॉइल वाज वर्कड आउट प्रॉपर्ली, accordingly the foundations were designed, and so finally the structures are standing safe. So if this is the case, it is the ideal one. The first case should never be allowed. Second case is likely to happen if the proper analysis is not done, but the third case is definitely to be targeted always. Let us now try to understand the scope of geotechnical engineering. What is the meaning of scope? See, we are trying to get some knowledge about the soil and the soil mechanics. We try to understand the properties and the behavioral part of the soil, and we try to apply this knowledge for the solution of some of the engineering problems which are involving soils. So which are these problems where the knowledge of the soil would be required and the structures can be made stable and safe? Let us try to get some idea of such projects. Before we go into the details of various such projects or the structures where the knowledge of soil mechanics would be very important, very essential, let us try to understand how a geotechnical project is handled. Suppose you are having a plot where the say a structure is proposed. That means the construction is to be taken up. Now before we start the construction, we must establish the properties of soil here, and for that purpose we are generally collecting some of the soil samples using different methods, and these samples are sent to the soil laboratory where the testing of the soil sample is carried out for various properties. Even we are performing certain field tests on the site. We have fortunately number of such properties and the related test procedures where we are say getting a very good support of the Indian standard codes also, and we are able to establish the soil properties to understand its behavior. Once the soil properties are made available, the results of such properties should be sent to the design office for a proper analysis and design for the foundation, and the finished design details can be then sent to the construction site, on the basis of which the structure can be constructed. So here we try to understand the role of the investigation of soil. Soil samples to be collected, soil to be tested on field also, soil samples to be tested in laboratory. We have to establish the properties of the soil, and we must try to understand its behavior and particularly the load carrying capacity of the soil, so that the foundations can be given a proper support. Let us try to understand some of the areas where the knowledge of soil mechanics would be very essential. So first major area is of the foundations. Foundations are of two types: shallow foundations and deep foundations. Here in the sketch you are able to see that the foundations are placed for various columns. Say this is column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, and the foundations are placed at certain depth within the soil. Now because the upper soil layer is firm ground resting on the bedrock, this soil of course will be considered as a very good soil, having good properties, good behavioral aspects, and it will offer a very good say load carrying capacity at this particular depth, which is the foundation depth. So for transferring the building loads to underlying ground at shallower depths, we are using the shallow foundations, and this can be possible only if the firm soils are available at a shallow depth. Now this is not the case always. Say in the next sketch we have the deep foundations. Suppose the upper soil layer here is weaker soil, it's not having a good set of properties, its behavior is not good, or it can harm the shallow foundations. Maybe it is an expansive soil layer, and so as a result we are deciding to provide pile foundations. So when a decision regarding the deep foundation or the pile foundations can be taken, when you are able to establish that upper soil layer is not good, its load carrying capacity is not enough, or its behavior is not up to the mark, that can make the say shallow foundations safe. So in that case you are going for the deep foundations to cross this particular upper layer, and you are transferring the load onto the bedrock directly, or a better soil which is existing at a deeper strata, and deep foundations can be used in these conditions. But this particular decision, you need the data regarding the soil. Without the knowledge of the upper soil strata, its properties and behavior, it is very difficult to decide that where exactly the deep foundations will be used. The third area of application is retaining walls. When, of course, say when the soil is to be retained on one side, or even water is to be retained on one side, then we always go for retaining structures construction. Say for the photograph that you are able to see here, there is one underpass which is constructed, and on both the sides there are soil deposits which are retained on either side by the construction of this retaining wall, right? If this retaining wall is not there, definitely this soil strata will spread over this, because it's not capable of supporting its own weight, and so there is no space for construction of these roads. So for retaining the soils from spreading laterally, we construct retaining walls. But to ensure the stability of the retaining wall, we need to establish the earth pressure which is being exerted on the walls, against which pressure we have to make it stable. For this kind of analysis, we need the properties of soils, we need the values of the earth pressures which are acting on such walls, and how it can be made stable. So here also the knowledge of soil is must. Then the area of the dams, and particularly the earthen dams, where the particles of soil like clay is used in the construction of earthen dams. Of course, this dam is of course retaining water on one side, and there are say there can be stones as riprapes which can be placed here. There are stones to be used as various layers. Gravels are used. There is sand below. There is gravel also. So in the construction of the body of the earthen dam, we are using soil particles as the material of construction. So here what kind of soil can be used in which layer, we need to establish its behavioral aspects. Clay is impermeable, sand is permeable, gravel is having its own set of properties. So accordingly we select the material for construction of various layers in earthen dam. Similarly, the concrete dams, which are huge structures, they can be resting on the soils or can be resting on the rock also. But for making the dams stable and safe, we must analyze the underlying soil or the rock, whatever may be present there, because the safety of a huge structure like dam is very important. If the dam fails, then the entire reservoir which is supported by this dam can also fail, and it can result in, say, submergence of the entire area on the downstream, and it can result in accidents or the loss of lives and properties. So in that case also, the status of the soil, particularly the properties and behavior, should be studied in detail. Accordingly, for many of the say projects, we do the earth moving works or excavation works. Say for some of the projects like canal work or the road work, we do excavation, we do filling, we do cutting also. Say here you can see that the large amount of earth is being handled, it is being compacted. Here also the large amount of earth is being handled. Here you can see that a slope is being made, probably for the canal work. The large excavation is being done. Even for doing such earth moving and excavation works, the knowledge of the soil properties would be very essential, and we do carry out say the analysis of soil samples for the road works, for the canal works, and we also try to establish the stability. Particularly the volume changes are to be avoided, the water contents, the plasticity analysis, the particle size analysis would be very helpful, and that's why for any kind of earthwork we generally do the analysis of the soil. Here a new word is there, geosynthetic. Of course, now it's not new. Almost for last 20-25 years this has been used in several civil engineering structures. Geosynthetic is being used as a reinforcement, or as a separating material, or as a filter, or as a drainage layer in structures like roads, highways, retaining walls, embankments, etc. Here you can see that kind of a geo web is used for the slope protection or the erosion protection. A typical specially fabricated geosynthetic layer is placed here. It's a geo web, and it is capable of protecting the erosion. And here the geo fabric is used below the highway, that will protect the pavement and different layers against the any kind of movement. It can even act as a reinforcement to increase the strength of the various, say, subgrade, subbase or base layers, and to increase the stability of the pavement we are using geofabrics. For larger lengths we have used it for a number of projects on highways. Even the reinforced earth walls, using the geosynthetic or the geofabrics to strengthen the soil. We are actually reinforcing the soils with geosynthetic layers. You can see here in this particular sketch, of course this particular part that you are able to see is actually this wall. This wall is a RE wall, mechanically stabilized reinforced earth wall, which is generally provided on both the sides of a flyover bridge, particularly on the approach slopes, wherein the approach slopes are constructed with, say, this precast concrete fascia panels on the sides, which permit almost the vertical construction, vertical retaining wall kind of structure, wherein we are, say, fixing the reinforcement in the form of geosynthetic on the back of the panel, and it is embedded in various sand layers. Of course, the construction of RE wall is a separate topic itself. I will be discussing this topic separately in the other video, but here also we have to study the interaction between the geosynthetic and the sands which are used in the backfill in this reinforced earth wall, and so the knowledge of soil mechanics is very vital here. Next is the case of the soil nailing. So of course we are dealing with a number of slopes, whether these are natural slopes or man-made slopes. So we may go for this kind of excavations where slopes are made. We may even go for construction of some embankments like this, where the slopes are coming in picture. Wherever the soils are not so stable, even the slopes will not remain stable, and sometimes we have to make them stable. So of course the soil nailing is a process to strengthen the slopes, which can be made stable by soil nailing followed by the ganiting. But question is, when exactly you can say that the slope is not stable? You will have to carry out some, say, investigation. You will have to establish the strength of that slope, and you will have to calculate. So a kind of a slope stability analysis needs to be performed, and the factor of safety is to be worked out. So if it is concluded that the soil slope is unstable, then the further processes are to be taken up. So in that area also the knowledge of soil would be required. Similarly, there is a large area of the sheet piles. These sheet piles are actually interlocking steel piles or the timber piles, which are driven into the ground, forming a continuous sheet. Say on the structures like ports, harbors, jetties, where we are say trying to retain water on one side and there is some construction on the other side, and we are putting this kind of sheet pile walls. You can see here series of sheet pile walls, which are of course here in the sketch you are able to see that it is constructed with steel. This is say one particular part, and these are all interlocked, and when they are interlocked properly and driven inside the ground or the say seashore bed, then they become almost kind of a barrier to the water. Water will be retained on one side, and on the other side you can do some construction work. So here also say on the side where the water is there, then of course a large steamer can come and just stand near the berth. So on such projects, even now say in many of the towns which are located in say our country, where there is nearness to the river, or the river is passing through the town, like in Ahmedabad also Sabarmati river is there, in Surat the Tapi river is there. Now sometimes it is quite possible that for the structures and the foundations which are very near to the river water can come near to the foundation, or even it can affect the foundation soil. So it can be made stable by driving some of the sheet pile walls towards the river area, so that the river water will not come inside the foundation soil for the structures which are very near to river. So that way we can make the foundation soil safe against the attack by the river water. So this is also one area where the knowledge of soil would be very much required. Similarly for tunnels, these are underground structures. We are constructing the tunnels below the soil, and of course it has to resist the load and pressures coming from the top. So here of course the tunnel is constructed, but here there are again some soil layers, and how much pressure is coming on the top of this tunnel, and against which pressure the tunnel is to be made safe. For that purpose also the analysis of soil would be required. Similarly for roads, highways, express highways, for all these structures we have to think about the subgrade soil which is at the bottom. Of course the pavement is constructed with different layers, like base course is there, sub base is there, wearing course is there, but then also all these courses are resting on natural soil which is consisting of the subgrade, and subgrade soil and its strength is to be established, and for that purpose also we need to study the soil which is there in the subgrade. So in the areas of highways and roads the soil study is must. So what we have discussed are the different areas where the knowledge of the geotechnical engineering would be very essential. we must perform the investigation of the soil which is there, and then only we can aim for a very safe and stable civil engineering structures. I hope you have enjoyed the session where we have tried to understand these two topics. One is the introduction of the geotechnical engineering, and second one is the scope of the geotechnical engineering. So dear friends, if you have liked the contents of this video session, please like and share the video YouTube channel, and please subscribe to this channel by pressing the bell icon so that you receive the notifications for the new video lecture series without any delay. And of course, I would like to remain in contact with you, so please give your suggestions and establish a contact. Thank you.